The facelift G63 has just been released. And the differences in the model is nowhere close to the difference that you would have found in the 2018 upgrade.
Yeah.
So the shape is pretty much identical. They've changed very, very minor bits of the front bumper, lower revised front bumper. Interior is different with the revised upgraded infotainment system and the touchscreen, but not as big of a difference. So
the actual drive isn't going to be so...
Slightly upgraded brake horsepower, but it's the same engine. But you could have mapped the current G63s to a higher brake horsepower.
That's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
They just map the same thing, and then they can get away with charging so much more.
Exactly.
Something that you can get done for what? How much is it to map a G63?
Probably 500 quid. You can get
500 quid. Yeah, you'd go and probably spend probably like £10,000 more on the newest version.
Oh yeah. Being up to 50.
I don't think it's even worth it.
What, 50?
Probably 50 has a difference. So the current, let's say if you find something about 1,000 miles on it, like we were saying, the Magnas you can get for 170. The brand new ones, they've released the pricing. So a Magno edition before options is going to be 200,000.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So let's say that gets
add
to
options on
210 with the performance pack and all the carbon and whatever.
Bloody hell.
And then surely there has to be a premium. So then you're going to be paying 220. So if these cars were going, if you were able to pick it up for 170 and you're paying 220, it's a difference of the best part of 50 grand.
Bloody hell.
The one difference that's slightly exciting on the G63 is the new suspension. So they have now introduced, I don't think it's air suspension, but they've completely changed it and revised it so that the wheels balance themselves out as you're going around terrains and rough terrains and corners. That's going to be interesting to see. So if that change is big enough, then that could justify people wanting to buy the facelift.
I do love a G63, but actually we've not been selling a lot of those recently, right? We've been selling a lot more Lamborghini Uruses.
Urus has been really good news.
Uruses have kicked off. The past 2 months, the Uruses, we've sold so many of them. But
what's the sweet spot in terms of pricing?
170 to 200.
Oh, but then it makes sense, right? 170 to 200, and you're putting up that against a G63.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think I'd take a Urus all day long.
100%. 1,000,000%.
Right.
Heritage buying Lamborghini in comparison to Mercedes. Mercedes is not an average car, but you don't put it in the same bracket as a Lambo. The Lambo has a status, it's got the prestige, and just in general, someone will pay a premium just for the Lambo badge. The G63 and the Urus can't be in the same price bracket. Definitely can't.
But notoriously, the G63s have always maintained their value quite well over the years. Like they'll come down, but they've still kind of don't come down like an Audi level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like RSQA or something like that.
That's why it was so odd to see in the past 5 to 6 months the crash on the G63s. Rapid decline in
but they were overinflated. They were seriously overinflated. But look, at the end of the day, markets like this become overinflated, and we saw this in the recent podcast that we done with the Watchfinder guy. But it's very simple. Suddenly, Mr. Jones sees that he can make 20 grand on a premium on that G63. So then he goes and tells his mate. He goes and puts an order in only for the purpose of flipping that car. And suddenly there's a shed load. It's not traders that are doing it now, speculating.
Honestly.
It's a shed load of normal individuals that have bought a C-Class or an S-Class in the past, and now suddenly they can use their buying history to buy a G63 just to flip. And so it just became,
we did a promo, all through social media where we were requesting order slots. This was probably the best part of 2 years ago now. Saying if you've got access to buy yourself a new G63 or a Urus, whatever it was at the time that we really wanted, we'll buy your order slot. And the amount of inquiries we had through people who didn't even know what they were talking about. They're like, okay, I'm sure I can buy a G63. I've got decent history. I've bought a couple of Mercs, but I'm really excited by what you're saying. I've never done this before, but let's do it. So can you imagine on the back of what we were doing, all of a sudden we were having people who are gardeners who are saying, I can buy a car through my business and keep it back qualifying and buy a G63.
Wow.
Can I do this?
It's crazy, isn't it?
So that is, literally an example of what you're saying, that people who had no clue about the car market were just coming out of nowhere saying, I want to get involved in this. The funny thing is that we're generalizing the market as a whole, saying it's come down or it's stabilized. It's not that simple. That's not the case. So we've got the likes of the Revuelto.
Are they being sold off market?
100%. I mean, the thing is, they were delayed from December. So the first bunch of units were meant to be delivered in the UK in December, and I think they're having an issue with locating carbon parts and things like that. So it built up a demand, people saying, okay, my one's being pushed back now. I really want one, ASAP. We were getting people saying, I'll pay up to 120,000 pounds over if you get me one of the first ones in the UK. So there is a couple that are being offered around at the moment. There's, won't give away the spec, but there's a few behind the scenes that are being offered around. And I know one person that sold his today to another exporter. Oof. Not sure where it's going, but he got strong money for it. He's not telling me the exact figure because he doesn't want to give it away, but I think it's the best part of 100,000 over list.
Oof, jeez.
Which is a lot because, believe me, tried to call around and see what was the best we could get. I think he got lucky on that one.
He got lucky.
That's not that.
Realistic aftermarket sale price on that should be say about 80 grand.
The sell price.
No, sorry.
The purchase
Premium that we should pay
about 60. I think is realistic.
60.
60 is realistic until
I think we
spring.
should pay 40. Yeah.
I don't think premiums should be allowed in this world. I think we should be offered them for list.
Yeah. Okay, so 80 grand it is. 80 grand it is. Anyway, Andreas, what cars are we buying at the moment?
What cars? Well, plenty have come in. One that's sort of caught the eye of a lot of people is this lovely 720S we have in here. This is the Velocity Special Edition.
Okay, what's so special about it?
So when McLaren launched the 720, they wanted to showcase their MSO department and what MSO can do. So they gave us this lovely sort of fading sort of two-tone red 720. So it sort of fades from Nigella red into Volcano red. So it just goes one, and it's a magnificent paint job.
How much would the guy have spent?
So this was £100,000 above lists, about more than a 720. So
what, just for the paint?
So it included a few other options. But yeah, it was 100 grand above the normal 720S. So the paint job probably would have been in excess of 30, 40, 50 grand, whatever it was, But yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the best paint jobs I've seen in the showroom for a long time.
So we get offered probably around 100 to 120 cars a week, right? Out of those, what trends are you seeing at the moment? Like, what are the most popular cars that you're being offered? And, why are people trying to sell those?
I mean, I don't think there's one in particular. There's a good variety of cars, still plenty of SUVs, a lot of Uruses, G-Wagons, but also just regular cars as well, like what we normally sell. Hurricanes, 720s, 570s. I don't think there's any specifically. I think a lot of people just are looking to sell now. I think the market has stabilised. It's not, as George said before, it's not coming down anymore. So I think it is quite a good time. People are looking to buy now, coming into spring. So,
okay. So if I was to say today you had, the perfect cars being offered to you, what are the top 5 perfect cars that you want? Oh, obviously, like hypercars aside, right?
Yeah.
But ones that, what defines a perfect car for a supercar showroom is how quick can we turn it?
Yeah.
And, profit's good, but I think the key thing is, it's all great having a good amount of profit in a car, but if we're sitting on it for a year, then it's not
the one thing that's come to my head while you said that is just straight deals. So while you're saying that, the perfect cars for us to be offered are off-market, really sought-after cars that aren't available online. So stuff that we can sell straight away. So Revueltos, Purasangs.
We delivered one today.
Sorry?
We delivered one today. The SLR.
SLR, yeah, things
SLR
like that.
Roadster,
that are just really
market.
rare. You can't find much of them online.
There's not one online.
At the moment, there's a bit of a demand for delivery mileage 765 LTs. Been asking around. There's hardly anything out there. So if there's anyone who's got a delivery mileage 765 that they've kept away,
have those prices come down a fair bit, haven't they?
They came down last year and have been rock solid since. Haven't moved. Haven't come down. So it's quite I wouldn't call it the best example, but another competitor have tried to crash the market by pricing one very cheap, a coupe.
Like how much?
A 765 is probably 15 grand too cheap.
Really?
And
what price was it at then?
It was
275.
275, the car I'm talking about. Yeah.
275 for a 765 LT.
Yep.
Coupe.
And the funny thing,
that is known as like being one of the best cars made. I mean, obviously the Spider they said was even better, right?
yeah,
But it is one of the best cars made in the last decade, I would have thought, right?
100%. I think to date it's one of the best driving cars.
Yep.
But the funny thing is, it all comes down to spec. If someone's spending the best part of $250,000 or just over, they'll spend that bit extra to get the spec they want. The color they had wasn't the best and the interior wasn't great. So in that time they had that car advertised at 275, we've gone and managed to secure a higher price on a 765 that we've had off market.
Oh, wow.
Because it's in a much more sought after color combination.
Got it.
So it's really important that the cars are spec'd right when it comes to that sort of price, and then you can justify the price point.